I just got home from my friend's funeral about 25 minutes ago. I've never cried in front of so many people I didn't know. I recognized his family and our other friends, of course, but there were so many kids from my high school there. I assume they read the newspaper report. Young man found lacerated in his bedroom, no suspect found, was all over our local newspapers. It must have been shocking. He was the second one so far in the graduating class to die. The first one was drug-related, kept pretty quiet. This one, however, has been the talk of our town for about a week now. I guess people were just curious. The death left so many unanswered questions in everybody's heads. The cops couldn't figure out just what exactly happened to him. I want to tell them I know, but I don't think they believe me. I've decided to post this here because maybe someone here could help me understand what happened. Also, most of you are probably more open to what I witnessed. So last month, me and a couple of buddies were drinking and watching some TV, bored out of our minds. I say bored because I believe we were watching reruns of the game show Press Your Luck. You know, no whammy. Anyway, eventually one of our friends put the idea of the website Omegle out there. We thought we were so original going on Omegle drunk. We were laughing our asses off, spouting insults and pressing next before the person could respond. The friend in charge of pressing next, the friend who died, would always stop on attractive girls and flirt. You know, usual Omegle shit. It was stupid, pointless fun. I remember we had just spouted off insults and my friend hit next. The next screen came up white. My friend almost hit next, but hesitated. Through the speakers you could hear a low humming sound. It sounded like an air conditioner. "Hello?" my friend said, with his finger hovering over the enter key. We all sat staring at the screen for a bit. None of us just thinking of reaching over and nexting away this strangeness. I couldn't understand at all why, but with every second, the uneasiness in me grew. Finally, my friend hit the next button. However, when the next screen appeared, the same low hum could be heard. This time, in place of the white screen, there was an image of an ordinary bedroom. It was very dark, so you couldn't see much of the room. All we could see was lit up by what I assume was the computer screen. The shot included a bed and a little dresser off to the right side of the room. Okay, so the person had left their computer. No big deal. The mystery was solved and my friend hit next. But every next was met with the same dark room and the same strange humming noise. I was really uneasy by this point. And finally, a girl appeared in the dark room, which made us all jump a bit. The girl had dark black hair that seemed to mix with the darkness of the room. But other than that, she just looked like an average 18 to 20-year-old girl. My friend who was at the keyboard smirked and greeted the girl. She seemed to notice because she jerked her head in his direction and smiled. When I say smile, I mean teeth showing, like you would for a school picture. It was very eerie looking, as you could imagine. She had her head cocked a bit back and to the left, so it looked as if she was staring down at him. He turned pale white and just sat and stared back. We were all freaked out. We didn't want this girl to look at us. At least, I didn't. She never broke the stare, though. My friend finally just slowly closed the lid of the laptop, eyes locked with the girl almost all the way down. We all just sat in silence for a few seconds before we burst out laughing. We all joked how she must have been on heavy drugs or something. She really liked me, my friend boasted with a chuckle. We went back to watching game shows for a bit before we all parted ways that night. Everything was fine and pretty uneventful for about a week or two. Early this month, my friend who had been stared down by the strange woman texted me saying how he thought he'd seen that smiling girl while he was walking around at the mall. He said he was in line to get some food when he glanced over his shoulder and saw a girl grinning at him from across the food court. He said he blinked and she was gone. He wasn't too concerned with it as he said he was high at the time. So then about a week later, he called me really late at night, waking me up. He sounded pretty agitated, saying he thought he heard something in his kitchen. I had gotten one call like this before from him, when he had gotten too high and he thought his grandma was at his door. He was crying and blubbering. It was quite a laugh. I began to talk, saying something about him being on drugs, when he hushed me and told me he had just gotten home from work and he wasn't on anything. Then in a hushed tone he said, "I'm putting the phone on speaker, listen," and I heard the tone of him pressing the speaker button. At first, I heard nothing but his breathing and chuckled a bit. But before I could call my buddy out for overreacting, I heard a slight thump. It was followed by another thump that was a little bit louder. They sounded like footsteps, and whatever it was walking towards my friend's room. I could hear his heavy breathing, and then he whimpered out, "It's outside my room." I could hear a slight scratch on the door. He was breathing so loud that at this point it could definitely tell he was in there. Then, just as suddenly as it had started, it stopped. I could hear my friend's breathing get less panicked. He then said he thought it was gone and that he was going to check it out, followed by the sound of the door creaking open. It was silent for about a minute before he got back on and said, "Sorry about that, the coast is clear, thank you," and hung up. The week after all this, everything seemed fine again until Friday. I was sick and decided to stay in. I was just messing around on social media and Reddit when I got a message from my friend saying, "You're home on a Friday? Get your webcam, I have to show you something." I was hesitant, hoping it wasn't him having a party and trying to brag by showing me. It was a stupid thought, but he had done it before. To my surprise, when we connected, it was him in his room, in the dark, only illuminated by his screen. He looked a bit pale, but nothing was really off. He said hi, and brought up when we had been on Omegle and seen that girl. He said that he had been seeing her around and he was sure she was following him. I immediately started laughing. "You're kidding," I said to him. But his face stayed serious. He reached down and rolled his long sleeves up, revealing deep crimson gashes all down his arm. He said that he'd woken up the night before, and she was in the corner of his room, staring at him, with that big toothy smile. He said he blacked out and woke up with gashes all over his arms and legs, and then he put his arm closer to reveal that she'd actually carved out the word "smile" over and over, all down his arm. I was speechless. I thought my friend was crazy and was about to call him out when a familiar sound filled my ears. The humming noise from that night. It was so distinct. My friend began to cry as he slowly turned his head to his right, where the humming was coming from. And just when his eyes met whatever was in there, he smiled a big grin and the web camera feed went black. I closed out of the webcam app, shook up, and went on the internet immediately to try to distract myself. On Facebook I saw I had one new message from my friend. All it said was, "Smile." They found him the next day, with his whole body covered in gashes from head to toe, although they never mentioned if the gashes all had said "smile," like the ones he had shown me. In his coffin, his face was frozen in a big grin staring straight up. When I went up to say my last goodbye, I decided to confirm what I had seen and pulled his sleeve up a little bit. The word "smile" was indeed carved all over it. That's really all, guys. I hope someone can explain what happened. Was it just the drugs he did, and did he do it to himself? Was he crazy? I hope he was crazy, because today, at the funeral, in the entire crowd of unfamiliar faces, one stood out. It was a girl with black hair, and she was smiling at me.